we're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression is out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression is out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is your gateway drug to liberty. Tonight, what if America is asking the wrong question? Tonight, we go beyond gun control. If the goal is reducing violence, are we chasing the symptom instead of the cause? Three notable gun advocates who are passionate about these issues will battle over self-defense, government power, criminal justice reform, financial freedom, surveillance, and bold solutions that challenge the conventional narrative. It's time to find out who is smarter than a politician. Joining us tonight, back for his third time, Maj Toure. He is the founder of Black Guns Matter. You can find him on X at Maj Toure, and you can find his website at solutionaryuniversity.org. You can join there, become a lifetime member. I think I am, Terry is, Kaecey is. We're all members there. And also check out Black Guns Matter on X at BLKGUNSMATTR. And his other socials are up there. How are you tonight, Maj?
I am wonderful. I am warm. I have an energy drink. It's sunny out. I would not dare complain. Everything is good. And even the stuff that's so-called bad, we learning from it. So don't trip.
Excellent. Tell us about Black Guns Matter and Solutionary University.
Man, Solutionary University is really growing. For those that are not aware, for the last 10 years or so, we've been doing these free firearms classes all around the country. Some of the people that's new, they may not understand why. Well, why did he call it Black Guns Matter? It was a play on words. There was this organization that did exist called Black Lives Matter. And our argument was, if you believe the Black Lives Matter, you should not be in support of gun control at all. Black people having guns shouldn't be an issue. So we went to those communities to just inform and create more safe and responsible, gun owners. And so we did that for a while. But over the last 10 years, I started to recognize, even myself, we were just talking about it off backstage, how many things, even if you're Second Amendment related, how many areas we are deficient in. And so whether that's, most Americans are dying from heart disease, right? Heart problems. Americans have health issues. Americans that do or are involved or getting involved in the Second Amendment conversation, they may not understand conflict resolution or stop the bleed. So we started to put together these different curriculums every time we would see, like, man, this person knows about guns, but they don't know about civics. So they know about the Second Amendment, but they don't know about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and limited government. So we just kept creating these curriculums, and it turned into, some of our core classes, which we turned into protocols, which is, obviously firearms basics, imminent threat, stop the bleed, know your rights, and civics. And so we were like, yo, since we've reached millions of people over the last, few years, imagine if we could reach 20 or 30 million people digitally. So we made Solutionary University, and everybody can go over there and learn some of the stuff. And obviously, we always going to be pro Second Amendment, pro 2A. However, we just started to curate something that's a little bit more accessible for people that may not know if they want to have a gun just yet. We believe in freedom. So if you don't want to have a gun, that's fine. That's more for me and my team. However, you should know how to de-escalate. You should know how to stop a bleed. You should know how to, you should know your rights. We got guys like Jason Basler, the Free Thought Project, who's put together a whole Know Your Rights protocol. We've got Gabriel from Blackwell Training Group, who's put together an actual Stop the Bleed. And so these are all videos. Every single, protocol is a video that even if you're a person that says, I don't know if I want to carry a firearm yet, at least you can have all of this information. And so that's how it continued to go into, this thing that we called Solutionary University, where it's more of a holistic thing. And landing with, we also created a 99-day challenge, which is called the Solutionary 9, which anybody that wants to get stronger, smarter, and become a better shooter, for 99 days, we work with you one-on-one, me and you directly, but there's a community of us. We get on a call, we talk about what your goals are, we curate a plan to your goals, and we kind of like work really, really hard one-on-one over that 99 days to kind of make sure that the person's getting smarter, stronger, and becoming a better shooter. And so saying all of that to say that's what Solutionary University is about. If anybody after this want to do the 99-day challenge, if you want to work together, if you want to take a class, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM, whatever, and I'll be more than happy to give any answers that anybody has. So that's pretty much where we at with Solutionary University.
Awesome. Yeah, and I highly recommend it. Join up, be part of the Solutionary organization. Maj is a great guy and great friend of the show, so please do that. Now, also joining us for the second time, Eric Blandford. You can find him most prolifically on YouTube at Iraq Veteran 8888. That is also the name of his website, IraqVeteran8888.com. And on X, he is the same. How are you tonight, Eric?
I'm good, y'all. Thanks for having me again. We'll have to do this more than once a year. I know I was on the show maybe about a year ago, but I always love engaging in these types of things. It's always fun, and it's been a very interesting road. The channel's doing pretty good. We are having to fight the YouTube algorithm, as many people have heard. The gun stuff on YouTube has hit some walls. It's been really tough, and I've seen a lot come and go on the platform, things that, if we want to get into that discussion, we can. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but overall, I've been doing this almost 18 years now. So I've been making gun videos, and I do everything from I've got a series called Top 5 Guns that we break into different lists of guns. I have a series called Gun Gripes, and we talk about all kinds of things going on in the 2A world, both political and just silly things you see going on out in the wild, if you will. Different gun technology, do a lot of gun reviews. I got a lot of gunsmithing and reloading content coming up, lots of that sort of stuff. Getting my shop set up. I did relocate recently, so get my shop set up, get my new studio set back up. It's been much more difficult to move than I thought it would be, but it's been a fun challenge, and I'm always trying to reinvent myself and sort of figure out what the future is going to hold for the channel. And it's been an interesting ride, so to speak, to see how things have sort of evolved. Internet culture in general, social media culture, X and how it's changed so much after Elon purchased it. YouTube and their algorithms, multiple algorithm changes, and there's been a lot of things come and go, and it's been interesting to be there for it all and to see a lot of new content creators up and coming, doing a good job and putting out content and appealing to new audiences. And I think that's what it's always been about for me, is trying to really open up the Second Amendment world to hopefully as wide of a group of people as I possibly can through education, entertainment, and a little redneck science thrown in there for fun. I think goes a long way, bringing people into the fold. And I try to be very fair in terms of my views, and that seems to have worked out pretty well. It's been fun, but I love what I do, and I have no signs of stopping. But it ain't been bad. I'm good.
Excellent.
Glad to be back.
Check out Eric's content. It's some of the best gun content out there, so definitely check that out. And last and probably least, my buddy Kaecey Rasmussen. Just got off the road with him, and they took all the intro time, Kaecey, so we don't have time for you to introduce yourself. But I'll just say really quickly, you can see his show semi-annually, They Both Suck podcast. It's on some Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, although he did point out he's been on like 3 or 4 times this week, so he rubbed that in my face. You could find that at American versus Gov, and his website is awakenotwokestore.com. How are you tonight, buddy?
Doing great, man. Just recovering after Vegas, getting back into the groove of things. And yeah, I've done 3 shows this week, so we can stop the semi-annual shit. So we're good.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to really stop. That's not really my style. And joining us as always, our lovely producer, who is also with us in Vegas. How are you tonight, Terry?
I'm still recovering from Vegas. Hi, everybody out there. I'm glad to be back home and be back with you guys in the regular scenario.
Yeah, awesome. And our Friday night shows are sponsored by Xano. If you're tired of surveillance coins dressed up as freedom tech, Xano is the real deal. Open source, enterprise-grade privacy, scalable and secure. Build, spend, and tokenize any asset without the peeping eyes. Xano isn't just private. It's none of their damn business. And if you're new to the privacy coin space, visit intro.xano.org to learn how Xano gives you the power to own your own data, your money, and your assets, all in one simple, secure platform built for real-world freedom. Appreciate you, Xano. And I just want to say again, thank you to everybody at Freedom Fest. We had such a great time out there. You Are the Power brought us out there. So honored to be involved with that organization and get to promote them out there. And Freedom Fest is just the top-notch convention out there. It is so much fun. They're just so classy and they do so many great things. So we were so excited to be out there, and we're already looking forward to next year. And thank you to all of our subscribers. You make all of this possible. The regular shows, the travel, all the stuff we're doing. We appreciate you so much. And if you want to subscribe to us, you can do so on X. If you want to sponsor the show, email studio@freedomuncut.com. And our next trip is going to be the Midwest Peace and Liberty Festival. That is in Lake Satoshi, Michigan. And that's August 6th through 9th. And you can register for that at mplfest.org. That's going to be a ton of fun. And one sad note, I just wanted to give a shout out to our buddy Derek Wills, who lost his father, Glenn, this week. And, you know, Derek is a good friend of mine, one of the best voices we have in our movement, and a good friend of the show. You know, my heart breaks for you, brother. Prayers to you, and, you know, wishing you the best. All right, let's jump into the comments. How about that? All right, it's hopping already. Oddsman's here. What's up? That probably is Rob Yates, a subscriber at LPNC. Shirley, another subscriber joining us from across the pond. Chris, another subscriber. Happy free day, bro. Maj is a legend. Facts, Eddie. Nomi's here, another subscriber. What's up, bud? And Dan, another subscriber. 11 points to Soundman Kaecey. Absolutely. Kaecey did a great job at the convention. Jim Lee's here. What's up? Great lineup. Absolutely. Terry outdid herself tonight. Travis from Appalachian Liberty and the Great Object Podcast is here. And I believe that's supposed to say Black Guns Matter is way better than Black Lives Matter. And somebody else is clicking buttons. So 200 Maj, gun control is racist. And that's Amity, another subscriber, a little closer to my heart. Retard News is here. What's up? Do you have people on that aren't smarter than a politician? Not tonight, that's for sure. Jake Day, a subscriber who is with us at Freedom Fest, and we had such a blast with 200 Maj because guns for sure. 200 Maj for his passion, his long-winded passion. Maj already got busted for being long-winded. Waz is here. What's up, Waz? Minus 50 to Kaecey for not exercising his right to have bare arms. That's fair. Talman's here. What's up? Go be a contestant and leave YouTube alone, Kaecey. LOL. Minus 200. Lost points.
YouTube chat, period. All day.
113 to Eric for his background. His background is fierce. That's for sure. Anarchist Chef's here. What's up? Another subscriber. Hi, might be. He might be giving a signal as to what's going on in his house there. Brent's here from the Aiming Up podcast. Another subscriber. What's up, everybody? Fat Bearded Chef. Another subscriber. What's up? Patriot Patty's here. Welcome. Jacob Simmons is here. What's up? What's up, everyone? 200 to Maj for being one of the people in the freedom space who does more than talk, also for talking on my podcast. Yeah, that was a good episode. Excellent. All right, let's jump into this here. Share this out if you don't mind. Let's bust the algorithm. As Eric mentioned, we're having all sorts of problems with the algorithm, so any help you can give us with that would be greatly appreciated. I don't think they like guns or people that don't like the government. That's the thing that I'm learning. You can follow me on X. I'm at Smarter Game Show. Terry is Bats T76. Helping behind the scenes, Amity Lee 13, and some guy named Kaecey. And you can get our swag at freedomsuperstore.com. We got shirts, we got mugs. I am wearing the Make Anarchy Great Again shirt. We're on YouTube at Freedom Uncut, same on Rumble. And we have a new website that Kaecey got going for us. That's smartergameshow.com. So if you don't remember how to find us, just go to smartergameshow.com and you can find all that stuff. Thanks to Kaecey for doing that. All right. So tonight, since Trump ruined peace prizes, the grand prize is the Are You Smarter Than Peace Prize, because we made our own. Also on the prize shelf, we've got Mike Johnson's signature cologne, Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We also have an assortment of libertarian bobbleheads. We have all of the religious books by Trump. We also have the Congressional Pacemaker. It keeps you just alive enough to vote for more spending and take more money from special interest groups.
Damn.
New tonight, we have the Trump Daylight Savings Account.
Oh,
Lose
Jesus.
an hour, trust even less. We also have the Trump Family Crystal Ball for investing. They invest before you know, you find out after. Information is power. Insider information is profit. And we have the Save Act voting CAPTCHA, Make Democracy Hard Again. The only verification system complex enough to keep the wrong people from voting. Also, new on our travels, we're also auctioning off. You can travel with Kaecey and his family to the next live show for Are You Smarter Than a Politician? No offense, Kaecey. I put this in here because I figured you weren't going to win anyway, so it didn't matter if you were one of the prizes. And we also have the Jake Day bodyguard package because everybody at Freedom Fest thought he was my bodyguard because he's such a huge dude. So we have that. So if you want to look like you've got a bodyguard, we'll send Jake Day out there. We also have the Terry Bats travel tour. If you want to work a lot, not sleep, and have really bad flights, Terry can put that together for you. You'll be down for about a week when you get back. And we have the Amity Dolby Media Tour. She handled a lot of my media stuff. Actually, she got the bad interviews. Terry got the good ones. Amity got the one where I had to talk to the MAGA guy about selling heroin to little kids or whatever he wanted to know about. So, so that's Amity. And also we have the White House UFC set. And of course, since it's the White House, the figures are sold separately. And we've got the Trump nativity set because it's July and nobody wants this piece of crap. So somebody's got to take this. And the Lego Killdozer because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Kaecey do. Sorry, guys, for all those jokes. I came up with those in the pool. So I had to.
Oh, my good hell.
All right. So the rules are I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score, so you can give or take up to 100 points from the contestants. And since I am the government and I believe in crony capitalism, subscribers can give or take up to 200 points because they pay me, so they matter more than you. Nuking a score. Any former contestant can nuke a score, taking it down by 1,000 points. The twist is a contestant can only be nuked one time, and it has to be for a good reason. All right. Lightning round, here we go. I will put Terry in the back. She handles the chat and the score, make her life extremely difficult because she's still tired from Vegas. Thank you, Terry. All right, Maj, first question to you. Category, first I want to say this is a gun rights show. We would be remiss to not mention Dexter Taylor, 10 years for assembling legal guns. Free Dexter Taylor. We'll put the URL up on the screen too. So we're going to be thinking of Dexter Taylor and his incarceration and his plight with all of this all night tonight. So free Dexter Taylor. All right. So Maj, to you. Categories: protecting the Second Amendment. Has the Second Amendment become a political scapegoat for deeper societal failures?
Yes, in the sense that there are people that will argue about settled science, which is the Second Amendment. It's the conversation isn't even a conversation. The supreme law of the land is the Second Amendment. It's been affirmed and reaffirmed and reaffirmed. You got McDonald versus Chicago. You got the Bruin decision, obviously. You got DC versus Heller, this conversation is a moot point. And so people that don't want to acknowledge the bigger issues, they'll focus on the Second Amendment, which is already settled, to kind of be a deflection from the fact that government is not doing what it's supposed to do. Government is not limited. Government is spending a whole bunch of money and printing a whole bunch of money, which makes the dollar weaker. And if that dollar is weaker, then there's less value. So then you got more crime. So it becomes a political scapegoat for, politicians to kind of throw this Band-Aid on and say, oh, it's because of the gun. So 1,000% it has been turned into, it isn't, but it's being used as a political scapegoat.
I agree. All right, Eric, to you, the question is, can America reduce violence without passing a single new gun law?
Oh, that's easy. Well, we just allow the Second Amendment to go exercise as it was originally intended. I mean, in 1791, when the Second Amendment was adopted, they would shoot horse thieves. Okay, simple things were dealt with frontier justice. Now, I know that the situation we live in today, frontier justice might seem a little hardcore for some, but I believe in people exercising their rights and stopping a threat where they see it when it happens to them. And I believe that when we talk about gun laws being passed, well, I've never seen a gun law get passed that actually furthered someone's rights or made the right more meaningful. I think the only way to truly, see a right flourish into what it really can be is to simply exercise that right. And most times, if not pretty much all the times exclusively, the government usually just gets in the way of you exercising your rights. I think the best thing they can do is just stay out of the damn way and let people do what they need to do. There needs to be less restrictions on carrying guns, less restrictions on purchasing guns. We are a society of rabble-rousers and rebels and troublemakers. And you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that might wish some people ill harm or whatever, but I think we should just let God sort them out. I believe strongly in people using the tools at their disposal to, exact justice with their own hands when someone's trying to hurt them. And I think that, we can also start by actually punishing criminals. You know what I mean? I know that our system is not perfect and it is rife with, a lot of treachery and deceit and cronyism and things like that. But if we actually punished criminals, that would go a long way too in deterring the ones, from committing more acts of crime. And also want to shout out, I know we mentioned Dexter Taylor, but I want to mention also we have another U.S. sailor that was detained by the ATF, locked up for some bullcrap too. And that is, his name is, he's a Navy Master at Arms. He was arrested. His name is Patrick Adamak. So he's another guy that was locked up wrongfully in addition to Dexter Taylor. Anyway, I should get 1,000,000 points for that. All right.
That's good.
Okay.
I'll add him to my list of political prisoners that I put at the beginning of the show. So
definitely a political prisoner.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, Kaecey, to you. Does preserving the Second Amendment ultimately protect every other constitutional right?
Absolutely. There's a reason why the First Amendment exists, is your ability to speak and be able to pronounce and say where you stand with things should be able to persuade anybody. If that doesn't work, or be able to emphasize where you stand, the Second Amendment becomes required. And that is the reason why it is done in that order. Generally, you don't have to go much further, but overall, when it comes down to it, the Second Amendment is to require force. But so far, our voice is more important right now, and we need to keep using it to keep us from going to that severe level.
All right. You sound a little funky too, by the way, a little tinny and like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a little echo maybe. I don't know what it is.
Echoey?
But
okay.
Yeah, it's something funky. All right, Maj, back to you. The category is constitutional carry. Does the Constitution protect your right to carry regardless of the zip code?
The Constitution, no, it doesn't. The Constitution reminds the government that they have limits and not humans. So in essence, it doesn't give me anything. It affirms my God-given rights. And yes, that does mean regardless of what zip code you are in. I had a conversation with somebody that was talking about people, well, those young guys with those guns. Now, those guys were being irresponsible, in my opinion, with firearms. They were like drawing on each other in a residential street. I don't know if their firearms were clear, anything like that. But anyway, one of the guys in the comments section said, those guys probably are prohibited persons anyway. And I said, you're supposed to be a Second Amendment guy. There is no such thing as a prohibited person when it's a God-given right. Either we accept that the Constitution is to, and the Bill of Rights is to affirm our human rights that God gave us, or we're acquiescing and saying that the government is who grants and can take our rights away. The biggest thing that we can, that little bit of a reframe, the biggest thing that we can get from that is to remind people that government doesn't grant us things. Government is there to, say, the executive branch, defend the Constitution, direct the armed forces, and secure the borders. I don't need you to tell me when I can have a tool to defend my life. So the Constitution just reaffirms, and the Bill of Rights reaffirms what the founders intended, which was, yo, you have a human right. Like a gazelle does not get a license to defend itself from a lion. And so we just got to like think of it that way. So yes and no, just that no with a caveat on top of it. I don't care what zip code I'm in, I'm carrying.
I appreciate the tweak to that. Good answer. All right, Eric, to you. Does constitutional carry make communities safer by increasing deterrence?
No, absolutely. That's a very easy question to answer. I mean, the more guns that we have in responsible people's hands, and the more people are exercising the right and carrying a gun everywhere they go, especially concealed, criminals are going to have to think twice before they commit a crime against someone. And I would like to piggyback a little bit on what Maj mentioned earlier about, the way that all of this, they're printing us into oblivion, and they're just printing money like crazy. And it is essentially a financial dilution that causes a hidden tax to occur. Inflation is a hidden tax. And when you just print currency out of nowhere and give it away to God knows whoever all over the dang world, the money in your bank account becomes worth less and less and less. And our dollar has lost so much value just in the last, 6 or 7 years, if not even the last couple of years. And it's crazy how little buying power we have compared to what we had even just a decade ago. And it's only going to get worse. Well, the reason I mention that is because, yes, as Maj, astutely mentioned, it will cause crime to inevitably rise because people get more desperate, and, you can't fault someone for trying to survive. And sometimes they have to, commit crimes in order to try to make ends meet. And, I feel for people that are in those situations. I get it. I know it sucks. But to go back to the constitutional carry issue, yes, I believe that people should be able to carry a firearm anywhere that they can exist in public. And I think the more people we have carrying, the better. And if somebody tries to commit a crime, turn you into a victim, kidnap you, rape you, kill you, whatever it may be, you have the ability to defend yourself. And, it is interesting to look at the Second Amendment as the Second Amendment. It's the second thing on that important grocery list. Like when you're making a grocery list, you put the most important things at the top of the list, don't you? They're like, wow, freedom of speech. Yep, pretty damn important. We're going to put that at the top of the list. What else is important? Well, I'd say the right to bear arms is important. Let's put that as the second on the list. So they realize that the ability to say what you want and defend the things you say with force, and to back up the things you say with force, were an instrumental part of being an American. And they realized of this new country, this new experiment, that it would be very important for the civilians to be able to say what they want, to address their grievances to government, and ultimately to defend themselves wherever they may be out within the populace against the government, and including up to each other if need be. And I think, the more guns we have out there, the better. I'm always going to tell you, strap one on and get after it, protect yourself for sure.
Totally agree. And Kaecey tried to do all three of those things to me in Vegas. So that's, but I think that has to stay in Vegas. So,
boy.
I'm glad his mic's not working very well. All right, Kaecey, to you.
Really?
Should law-abiding adults need government permission to carry a firearm?
Absolutely not. The Second Amendment covers everything. The Second Amendment carries your right to carry a firearm. You are able to do that. It also doesn't explicitly call out an age. So you have rights to carry a firearm in this nation, and is any state or any other law that is passed is infringement on the Second Amendment, which our Constitution does start with shall not be infringed. So overall, you should be able to possess a firearm in any way. It doesn't specify an age.
Awesome. Something still a little funky on your mic, but all right, Maj, to you. Category is self-defense rights. Does expanding self-defense rights deter violent crime?
Yes. And again, the caveat would be it's not expanding self-defense rights. It's removing government involvement from trying to encroach upon the rights that you already got. We got to make sure that we're reframing things that always puts it in a position of power for the people. The Constitution starts with we the people. And so I don't need government to expand my right to defend myself. They have nothing to do with it. I need them to kind of just step out of my way, and we'll educate and inform people in demographics that tremendously suffer from the lack of education, training, conflict resolution. The more government step out of the way, the cancer that it is, the more freedom and the more safety will expose itself. So we just kind of need government to fall back. That's really the issue. You guys got other things going on. You guys got us in a bunch of different wars or conflicts, because they're not calling them wars, so they don't have to go through Congress. Y'all should worry on that and focus on maybe the infrastructure all across America. There's bridges that's like 80, 90, 100 years old that could be focused on, and let the people, to Eve's point, let the people defend themselves in the spaces where they actually need to defend themselves. Ronald Reagan, who I'm like 40% on and 60% off with Ronald Reagan, but he said a line that I thought was super powerful way back. He said, one of the most dangerous sentences, and I'm paraphrasing, one of the most dangerous sentences is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I want the government to please stop helping us. I want the government to fall back to do its very limited job and let the people deal with the situations that occur. And ironically, we'd have less violent crime if government stopped over-regulating, overreaching, and things like that. So just a quick reframe on that, but overall in sentiment, yes.
I love that. Government does need to fall back. All right, Eric, to you. Does Castle Doctrine simply recognize common sense?
I think it certainly codifies it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a codifying of what you would think would be extremely common sense, right? I mean, if someone is in your home trying to harm you, you should have every ability to defend yourself in any way possible. And I know that there's a lot of people around the world. I mean, you know, with X and with YouTube and other social media platforms and video sharing platforms, Rumble, whoever, there are people all over the world that consume our content collectively. And I know that the European mind, or folks in South America, especially like, you know, my girlfriend's from Brazil, and it's like down there, it's the Wild West, right? And I know that when they look at how we are able to exercise rights here, I know a lot of people all around the world, they think, wow, like what in the world? Like they think it's a Wild West type of situation. They just simply don't have the same ability to protect themselves around the different parts of the world as we do. And they view our sort of renegade attitude as being something kind of crazy or outlandish, or something to be unexpected, or something to be a spectacle, or, you know, they're going to laugh at us and say, oh, you're cowboys or whatever. But I do believe that people should always have the innate right to protect themselves in their home against anyone that's trying to hurt them. I mean, that's common sense to me. I don't know how it could be taken any other way. All Castle Doctrine does is really codify that, which I don't guess that's a bad thing. So, and also to piggyback on Maj, when he mentioned the government's functions, yes, extremely limited. Like a tiny little grocery list that you got to use a magnifying glass to read. Yeah, that's the list of tasks I want the government being responsible for. I mean, look, the only thing that they were ever supposed to be responsible for that's actually codified in our original documents was to protect our country from outside threats. Right? Okay, raise enough taxes to fund the military, make us the most deadly people in the world where no one wants to mess with us, and that's it. We don't want them doing anything else, right? And in my mind, yeah, protect the country, have a strong military, but beyond that, I don't want them involved in anything else. Right?
I agree. I'll take the under on things I want them responsible for. So,
right.
All right, Kaecey, to you. Have stand your ground laws made communities safer?
Yes, but we demonize them. We demonize them in our country. We want to make it to where you don't want to stand your ground. We want to make it that you're the bad guy for defending your property when it is your property. We should support that. We should encourage that. We should tell people that that is what we should be doing. We'll call 911 when we want to, but we should actually be defending our property and fighting for it, like almost like our life depends on it, right? Overall, stand your ground laws should be established across the country so you can actually defend everything that you have fought for and paid for.
Still sounds like your gain is up or something. I still can't place what it is, but all right, Maj, to you. Category is assault weapon bans. Would an assault weapon ban meaningfully reduce violent crime?
No. So again, caveat layers. I'm always careful with languaging. Assault is an action, and the way that most people use the term assault weapon, I'm always going to push back against that. But in the terms that most people accept it as, whether they know the actual definition or not, no, we've done that before. ARs, there was an AR-15 ban, and when the studies were done and the data was, they're like, this didn't really make things a little bit more. It didn't make things enough safer to justify the ban. That's why when that AR-15 ban was gone, it was lifted. It was lifted. When you have, there's a great book by Dr. John Lott. I actually might have it around here somewhere. It's called More Guns, Less Crime. And in this book, I think this might actually be a signed copy. I'm not sure. But anyway, More Guns, Less Crime by Dr. John Lott. And he did like 30 years worth of data and just looking at, as there were areas that had more safe and responsible firearms owners, crime, wouldn't you know, was lower. It's the same as over the last, let's say the last maybe 30 going on 40 years as licenses to carry. I'm not a fan of licenses to carry. However, if people get them, they get them. But as those licenses have increased over the last however many years, violent crime in America has decreased. And so whether they want to call it an assault weapon or whether they want to call it, whatever they want to call it, when you have more safe and responsible firearms owners that are choosing to get informed and to train and to go to the range and to learn and share information, and you normalize firearms, doesn't matter the rate of fire, those communities become safer. If you got a young lady that is, let's say she's an exotic dancer. She comes home 2-3 o'clock in the morning. She comes home and deals in cash. Let's say if you are a cannabis operation and cannabis is still scheduled high, still federally illegal or unlawful. My point is, if people know that you got loads of cash on you, but they also know that you carry and you train or your team and all of the guys with you and ladies with you, there's less of a chance of you trying to rape that, woman coming home from the exotic dance club at 2 a.m. And so the cliches are so beautiful. I used to hate cliches. I used to hate personal development. I used to hate those, you got Tony Robbins dudes. But in hindsight, those cliches and those very simple phrases are accurate more often than not. And the accurate phrase here is an armed society is a polite society. So you could try to shellac any type of weirdo name on a firearm or some type of arm, but the data is already very, very clear. And that book by Dr. John Lott came out a while ago. And so more guns literally, quite literally in America create less violent crime. And I just wish that more people would just kind of like study up on it and read these things as opposed to just accepting what mainstream media narratives that have big budgets by anti-gun organizations and NGOs. Sometimes you should just stop and question it. I know some of the viewers, most of you guys and ladies are pro-gun, no doubt. But some of you that are watching that may be somewhere on the fence, I want you to understand that the things that myself and, Kaecey and E and Eric are telling y'all right now, we're not telling you like we want you to go be Rambo next week. Again, we already have plenty of firearms. The argument is just be objective enough to listen to what we're saying and then do your own research outside of what the lies they're telling you. We're not crazy so-called gun nuts that just are like, yeah, violence all day. Absolutely not. The people that are lying to you are either lying to you about this for several reasons. One, they've done some things that if they knew they did, you would probably shoot them for it. Or two, they're about to do some things that if they do it, you probably shoot them for it. And so we just want people to just have an open mind and look at this, base it on the data, base it on your right to defend yourself, base it on your ability to respect other people's property rights, and those people that view the world the same way. Pro-gun people are 1,000% going to respect your property rights, your body, your choices, all of those things. So we just want to make sure that people are understanding that they've been lied to, but the data is very, very clear. And again, like I said, that book by John Lott has been out for a while, and I just recommend or suggest everybody just check it out. But yes, the less guns would 1,000%. More guns will 1,000% create less crime, and it has.
I totally agree. All right, Eric, to you. Are assault weapon bans aimed more at appearances than results?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When the Clinton ban came through in the 90s, that was certainly something that was done based on the cosmetic features of the firearm. People were, thought that certain guns looked scary or they looked off-putting, or, that the features and the way, it can take a bayonet, it has a, flash hider or whatever, and it has a pistol grip and all these sorts of, collapsible stock and a shoulder thing that goes up and all these things. They were trying to, pit the physical appearance of the firearm and sort of associate that with being more dangerous than something that maybe had a more innocuous, basic sort of look. And before I speak further on the subject matter, I would like to go back to the other comment about property rights, okay, and defending your property. And I'd like to piggyback on that and just mention that, yes, while it is important to defend our property rights and to defend our property, what I'm trying to say, it's also important that our property is our property. And I think that it's crazy how at the age of 25, 26, you can pay your house off and then you still have to pay the government for the right to live in your home for the rest of your life. I think that's bullcrap. I mean, so we also have to look at, when is something really yours? You know what I mean? And I think we have to talk more about how screwed up property taxes are, how something that you're supposed to own is not even really ever yours, That's one area. And also Maj had mentioned Dr. Lott's work, and I want to piggyback a little bit on, I'm going to answer sort of a combination of the previous two questions, if I may. And it's that yes, while cosmetic features are a factor, and also they try to change the language, when you're using their language, you're fighting by their rules. You're playing the game by their rules, basically. And when you allow them to control the language of things and the language that you use, you're essentially giving in to their argument. And while, I hate words like assault weapon. It's such an ignorant term, right? It's very ignorant. And it's ignorant to ban guns simply on the appearance of the given firearm. And that's what the original assault weapons ban aimed to do. And they proved that, well, wait a minute, we can take a Mini 14 that looks just like a regular hunting rifle with a wooden stock, and it fires a bullet at the same damn velocity as any other AR might with a 16-inch barrel. So it's a moot point to ban a gun simply on its appearance, and essentially allowing yourself to, fall victim to, the dangers of using your emotions to decide things that logic should be deciding. And logic tells us, and of course, as Dr. Lott astutely, given us through all of his research and everything, is that, changing or banning a firearm based simply on the appearance or whatever terminology you want to try to use to describe it is simply just not a winning strategy. And they found that, of course, Dr. Lott's work proved that, it didn't do a damn thing to reduce crime in any meaningful way. And in fact, more guns we have out there, the better off that society is going to be. And I do want to piggyback quickly on what Maj said about gun owners in general. And I do agree with Maj that, gun owners generally as a group of people are some of the most salt of the earth people you ever meet in terms of just being willing to help and, being generally pretty good people. I mean, I have met some people within the firearms industry that can be, kind of jerks, but overall, generally people are pretty cool. And, I think that that's a trait that once someone partakes in exercising their rights in such an astute way. Like they go out and train, or they go out and shoot on a regular basis, or whatever it is they do. They kind of become a custodian of that right. They become an ambassador of that right. And the more people they're around, the more people begin to kind of go, oh, okay, well, this is what gun owners are like. And I'd like to say that overall, or I'd like to think overall, that view is pretty positive. I would say that most people probably have a positive, interaction with gun owners versus a negative interaction for sure. So I think that, what we see reflects that for sure.
Definitely agree. All right, Kaecey, to you. Should cosmetic firearm features determine what Americans can own?
Never. I said it in the last answer. Shall not be infringed is a thing that's in the Constitution, and it's very clear. You make any gun laws to restrict accessories, guns, or access to guns, you are infringing on the Constitution and the Second Amendment to every American in this country. That shall not be allowed, and we should be resistant to any of them, and that includes Trump trying to ban bump stocks back in 2016, his first term.
I agree. All right, enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. The chat is hopping. Let's jump in and see what's going on. Spectrum of Truth is here. What's up? 200 to Kaecey for doing such a fabulous job in Vegas. 100%. Kaecey makes these things happen. I finally made it in. I finally made it life on prize. Congratulations, Jake. 200 to Eric for Frontier Justice. Yeah, we don't talk about that enough, but men will handle men things, 100 to Eric, Frontier Justice. 100 to Eric, simple answer, follow the Second Amendment. 200 to Kaecey, second protects the first. Derek's here. What's up, buddy? I'm late, but I finally get to watch it live. Also, Kaecey 3 nights in a row. Awesome. Derek, that means he won't be on until like February or something. 200 to Maj, there are no prohibited persons. 110 to Maj, government doesn't grant rights. 100 to Maj, no prohibited persons. 98 to Eric for astutely. Liberty Shamrockers here. What's up? 200 to Kaecey, no age limit on Second Amendment. 200 to Maj, government needs to step out of the way. 100 to Maj for the Reagan message. 162 to Maj for needing government to get out of his way. 132 to Maj, please stop helping. Yes, free Dexter Taylor, 100%. Donate to his defense campaign.
He's a damn good guy, y'all.
Really good guy. I mean, talk about salt of the earth, man of God, great messenger of the liberty movement. Absolutely
does not belong in prison.
No. I mean, the list of people that belong in prison, I mean, he's got to be the top 1% of doesn't belong in prison.
I think there's a lot of people in our government that belong in prison, not him.
100%. They could empty out all of those agencies and stuff like that and still
throw their asses in the brig for a while and let them rot for a while.
Dan wore a Killdozer shirt to class today and nobody said anything and he thought those guys were cool. Yeah, Dan, they're not cool if they don't like the Killdozer shirt. Oh yeah, Casey's wearing it. Nice. My other car is a Killdozer shirt. Anarcho Cats here, one of my favorite memers. Minus 100 to Maj for quoting Reagan. I knew that was coming somewhere.
I knew it.
And you even did the caveat of 40%. 100 to Eric for Castle Doctrine codifies it. 132 to Kaecey for defending everything you fought for and paid for. 100 to Kaecey, stand your ground. 200 to Maj for pushing back on assault weapon language. Ocean Blues here. What's up? One of our earliest supporters. Wonderful lady. Check out her artwork on her X account. She's so talented. Thanks for the repost. 200 to Maj for the book recommendation. Final Cut Tiles here. What's up, bro? An armed society is a polite society. Hell yes. Bronner's here. What's up, Bronner? 100 to Eric. Assault rifle is stupid. Jim says, wow, this panel, 1,000,000 points to all guests. I don't think we can count that high. Minus 1 to Eric for going slightly off topic, but 199 for F property taxes. Angel's here, a new friend of mine. Glad you're here. Minus 13 to Eric for all the piggybacking. I bet Maj and Kaecey's backs are hurt by now.
Well, they had good questions.
Yeah. I don't think you're hurting Maj's back just from the looks of him with his 1% shirt on there. 200 to Kaecey for shall not be infringed. 98 to Kaecey for F Trump. 100 to Kaecey. Sorry, no, his parents misspelled his name. That was not you, Bronner. Shall not be infringed. Seems pretty simple. And 200 to AK-47. AK-47 shall not be infringed. All right. Let's go to the scoreboard here and see where we are at. Ooh, it's close.
I think Maj is murdering everybody.
Maj is up there, 2804, but only like 10 points behind Eric.
Close.
And then Kaecey's going to be in third all night, so it's 2592. We threw Kaecey into the wood chipper with this lineup. All right, let's jump back into it here. Kaecey, you want to meet at off the strip later tonight? Do you want to? Yeah, all right.
I'll see you there.
All right.
In 10 minutes.
Maj, back to you. Category is carry rights. Should law-abiding citizens be allowed to carry in more public places?
Allowed? I am allowed. You can carry everywhere. You can carry everywhere that is not a private building that has a metal detector that once you do what that stops you from getting in. And if it's a private building, I'll respect it. They don't want it in there. Outside of that, you can currently carry your firearm concealed anywhere that you choose because the bad guy that may show up to that place to potentially kill you and other people will not respect that so-called statute. So allowed, the government does not determine what I'm allowed to do. They do not have jurisdiction over my being. They don't. So again, the wording, the matrix is trying to trick us with the wording. You are allowed to safely and responsibly carry a firearm to defend life. Government does not allow that. And if anyone chooses to get a license to carry or know their state laws and all of those different things, we have protocols, we have classes, we have all of those things, and we'll help you. We'll help you with that. But what usually happens is the more you go down the freedom rabbit hole and you start to go like, man, this is wrong. Just because something is a statute, especially a statute that's in violation of the supreme law of the land, which is the Second Amendment, the more you go down this rabbit hole, you'll start to see how many things they've just tried to convince you to be a good little subject as opposed to a free being like the founders of America wanted you to be. And so government does not allow me to do anything. I've been on record several times. I've caught gun cases. You know, I've had that weaponized against me. I have never, will never, am never going to get a license to carry. I do not judge people that choose. This is infinitely easier to deal with law enforcement if you got a license to carry. I'm going to be very clear about that. However, I just have made my line in the sand, and I carry in New York. I carry in Philadelphia. I carry in California. I carry in New Jersey. I carry in Detroit. I carry in Baltimore. I carry because the government does not allow me to defend my life if I need be, because the government will not show up magically like Shazam and defend me from stabbings, bullets, or any of those things. So government cannot allow me anything. I have a God-given right, and I am a free man. I am not a subject. I am not a peasant. I am not any of those things. And we dealt with that whole monarchy thing 250 years back.
Totally agree. And I'm with you on the free men don't ask permission, right? All right, Eric, to you. Are gun-free zones protecting people or criminals?
Oh, absolutely criminals. You know, look, again, when we look at this sort of situation, you know, you can't really blame people, because I think that what happens when you look at, I hate to use this terminology, but when you look at, let's just say, normies, or if you will, I know you hear people say NPCs. Oh, someone's an NPC. They look at that person and they just, you know, they treat them like an NPC or a normie or whatever it is. The average society at large, you know, people have just been so indoctrinated to believe that, you know, the government has the end all, say all position on anything related to, you know, what you should or shouldn't do. And I think that, they see a gun-free zone, and for them, they go, oh, well, you can't have guns here. It just doesn't compute with a lot of people that, well, just because a sign says it's a gun-free zone, maybe you should just carry anyway. All right, is there a metal detector at the entrance? If there's not, we better believe I'm carrying my gun. I don't care what a damn sign says. But most people, I hate to think that it's most people, but a lot of people just, they don't think that way. They look at a sign and they just take it as gospel, and they just follow the rules like a good sheep, and they just put their head down and stare at their phone, and they don't have any sense of what's going on around them. That they fall victim to complacency and not seeing the things around them. And criminals take advantage of this. They know that people are well intentioned, and while yes, it may be a good intention for someone to go, oh, there's a gun-free zone sign, I better not carry a gun here because it's not allowed. See, it's just all about them weaponizing someone's own good intentions against them, right? You can't blame normie society that wants to try to follow the rules. I mean, I think you should disobey the rules and carry anyway. That's just me, right? I'm all down for some freaking violations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a habitual violator of bullcrap signs, okay? But a lot of people are just not wired that way, and criminals take advantage of that, all right? They know that despite people's good intentions, that they can commit any crime they want, and if they want to shoot up a place or do whatever they want to do, the chances that most people have obeyed the signs and are not carrying is going to be considerably higher, right? Or if anything, it's going to embolden them to, think, all right, well, maybe this is a soft target because maybe there are a lot less people carrying than normally would be if it weren't a gun-free zone. And then when you look at things such as education, you look at schools, right? There are a lot of, colleges, like I know up in Kennesaw, in Georgia, there's a city called Kennesaw, and they have Kennesaw State University there. And they actually have campus carry in Kennesaw. Now, there are a lot of colleges all across the United States that now have campus carry, right? And you see that muggings and stabbings and rapes, ladies, these young girls are walking back and forth to school, sometimes late at night. They're out hanging out with their friends. So it's like, they're in an environment where it's easy for people to prey on them because, they're impressionable, they're young. But in places like Kennesaw, where it's actually codified in their local government, hey, you have to own a firearm. Every household must have a firearm. Now, they're not going to go around and check and make sure you do, but it's in there so that it's that sort of dog whistle that makes criminals realize, look, Kennesaw ain't putting up with your crap. And they see that violence and all of these sorts of things goes down considerable amount in places like Kennesaw because of that reasoning. So, yeah, gun-free zones are absolutely a giant dog whistle to turn well-intentioned people into victims and to turn, criminals into something worse than what they would be otherwise. So, yeah, it's totally at the advantage of the criminal and no one else to have a gun-free zone.
That's interesting. All right, Kaecey, to you. Category is magazine capacity limits. Should the government decide how many rounds are enough for self-defense?
No. The government should the government decide, and it should stop there, and the answer is no. And you already know this, and everybody on this panel knows this. No, the government should never tell us what is necessary for defending ourselves or defending our property or someone else. The right to be able to bear arms is to defend yourself, your property, and others, and other citizens in this country. Does it require 13 rounds? Does it require 15? Does it require 9, 10? We don't know. You have to be in that situation, and you are neutralizing a threat. That is it. And you are going to defend yourself. Who knows what those rounds are until you are put into that situation. So no, a government should not be able to tell you how many are required, because look at the officers. You had officers shoot up a car because of acorns falling out of a tree. Really? They should tell us how many bullets we need? No, thank you.
I don't know what's up with your microphone, but it's still funky. But
yeah, it's weird.
I don't know what's going on. All right, Maj, to you. Would magazine limits stop determined attackers?
No. It won't. And the magazine limit won't stop the person that doesn't follow that rule either. If there's an attacker that knows a rule, and says, I'm going to pick this place. That guy years ago that shot up the movie theater for Batman in Aurora, Colorado, it was a long time ago. He drove past other movie theaters that were closer because he picked the one that was a gun-free zone. My point in saying that is, not only did he not care about a rule, because murder's a rule, don't murder. Not only did he not care about that rule, in kind, the people that are good people that are also not going to care about that rule is not going to stop us from attacking the people that are defending the sheep. The sheepdogs that are going to be defending the sheep from wolves, we're not going to care about that either. So that's not going to stop us from defending the people. And people got to look at it from that perspective. Too many times we look at it as society makes us look like the person on the wrong side of the gun. We got to psychologically change and reframe that. You are the safe and responsible firearms owner. There's one of my favorite movies called The Watchmen, and there's a character in there called Rorschach, and he's got the mask on, and he goes to jail in the movie, and everybody's, because he hates criminals, and he gets sent to jail for a little while, and the criminals, he put a lot of them in there, and they're trying to beef with him, and he goes, one of the guys tries to argue with him, and they get into a fight, and he beats this dude up and throws hot water on him or grease or something on him like that, and he yells at the other criminals in jail. He says, you got it misunderstood. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. And this thought process is similar. Just like a bad guy won't care about a magazine cap limit, I'm not going to care about a magazine cap limit. I have an SBR with a bunch of rounds in my Vertex book bag with first aid, literally right there. I'm going to get busy. I do not care. Nothing is going to stop me from 1,000% defending life. And that includes rules that benefit the criminal, to Eric's point, rules that benefit the criminal. I'm the good guy, and I'm not going to care about that rule. I am 1,000% going to Swiss cheese you to defend life. And we have to start looking at it from that perspective. We are there to defend the people that are just trying to have a good time at this event or this function. And we can't allow any of these limited rules that are not in alignment with the supreme law of the land to stop us from rising to that opportunity and that challenge if we are ever so unfortunate to be placed in it, but at the same time fortunate to do our job and defend life. And if you look into any spiritual text, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, whether you whatever, you have almost like a moral obligation to defend life. You have almost like it's part of your hero's journey to be, when the opportunity presents itself, you are not allowed to cower. There's another, and I'll land here. There's another great movie called The Kingdom of Heaven. And there's the guy, the meme with the guy that's silence, and he's got the gold mask on. That movie, that was played by Edward Norton, by the way. But anyway, there's a scene where he's talking to Orlando Bloom, and he's saying, when you die, and I'm paraphrasing, when you meet God, you won't be able to say, oh, I was just not really being righteous because a king or some rich dude told me to do thus and speak and so and so. You as a man, regardless of who would try to manipulate you on this planet, you have to pick up your mantle and in essence, do what you're called to do. And as men, as protectors, as leaders, we can't allow the cowards that have created, statutes that are in violation to your godly ordained right to defend life. You don't get into the hereafter and be like, hey, God, I couldn't defend life and I'm just dead now. And all of those other people are dead because I was following a rule that was already clear in relation to the Second Amendment. And I know that I have human rights. So we have to make sure that we're consistently reframing this conversation around, we are the people, we the rabbit with the gun, not just the bad guy has the gun. And as more Americans start to view it through that lens, they pick up that mantle. They'll take more seriously training, being responsible, the situational awareness and things like that. But no magazine capacity situation is going to keep me off the ass of a bad guy. I don't care what the rules are.
Yeah, and people can check their religious books by Trump if they want to see if they're supposed to defend their family and their stuff. So we have that as well. So, all right, Eric, to you. Category is gun confiscation and due process. Can emergency gun seizures be abused by government?
They can fucking try. I mean, that's my view on it. I don't think they have the stones to try. I mean, okay, so to for real answer the question. Okay, I'm just being funny, but it is true. To for real answer the question, if someone is actually willing to comply and give up their guns, yeah, I suppose the answer could be yes. But I think that ship has sailed, right? This is not the 1990s, y'all. This isn't Waco, okay? If something ever happens, some sort of mass gun confiscation event or something like that, I don't think they're dumb enough to try that. And I'm glad that this situation or this question came to me, because I also view the Second Amendment in a much more hardcore way than a lot of people probably view it. And it's that, the Second Amendment really does put limits on what the government can do. It's not about what we can do or cannot do. It codifies exactly what they cannot do. They have to stay away. It's to give them the marching orders to stay the hell away from our rights, right? So when I look at everything that's going on, I don't believe in the government having a monopoly on violence, right? I think that the civilians should be standing on equal ground and have the ability to access violence in the same way that they do. Because if we can't engage in violence in the same way that they do, well, then they're going to use their greater violence against us, and they're going to out-violence us, right? So one is the idea that they should not have a monopoly on force. That's a given. But two, that they shouldn't outclass us in force. Now, when we look at the British Empire, okay, like, all of their satellite, countries that they basically had under their wing in their empire, like, for instance, Nepal, right? At one point, Nepal was under under British rule, British control, if you will, in their empire. And yeah, they had firearms that were in the British inventory, but there were always firearms that were 1 or 2 generations back, right? So if the British had repeating firearms, well, then the Nepal had single shots, or they had muskets, or they had whatever technology was a couple of versions back. So that the British always wanted to make sure they had the people under their thumb outgunned. That's the way I view the Second Amendment here in America, is that, we're sitting here talking about the features on a black rifle. Okay, I get that. Okay, I understand what you're putting down when they talk about assault weapons bans, and of course we're gonna use their terminology, use their definitions. I look at it far greater. I'm playing like the 5D chess on this. Like, if they have drones that can murder you, that's where the conversation needs to be. Why don't we have drones that can murder them back, right? I don't support any environment where they have something that outclasses us, right? That should be the conversation. We're talking about confiscation. I know that I'm skirting around the question, but the way I look at the Second Amendment is the civilians being completely toe-to-toe with the military. If an infantry platoon has hand grenades and mortars and AT-4s and machine guns or whatever it may be, and drones, weaponized drones, I think the civilians should have the same thing. I know that might be hardcore in some people's view, but here we are talking about confiscation. If they did want to engage in some form of confiscation, do you think that they would come and ask when they have a drone that can just murder you? They're just going to use the drone. Like, there's not going to be confiscation if you're not alive. I mean, and that's the way I tend to view the situation, is if you got to find a way to stay alive. And having the same weapons that they do is a very instrumental part of that. And the greater as the technology gets, the harder it's going to be to resist things like that. What happens when a guy shows up outside your house with a loudspeaker and says, "We got you surrounded, and by the way, we're going to blow your house up with a drone if you don't give up your guns"? Is that confiscation at that point? Or is it just organized slavery? Right. I mean, just call it what it is at that point. Like, it's not about the gun anymore. If they have you outclassed at such a level that they can just blow you up anonymously, what is the Second Amendment really at that? What teeth does the Second Amendment really have if they can just indiscriminately blow you up with a drone? That's the conversation we need to be having.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And no one's having it. All these gun rights organizations, look, I understand how they want to, talk about, we got a victory in the courts and all the Supreme Court's about to rule on assault weapons and blah, blah, blah. I get that, but where's my damn drones?
Right.
Yeah, we had Ammon Bundy on the show at the Libertarian National Convention, and those cowards were shooting his animals out of a helicopter. You know? And I thought the same thing as you, Eric. I was thinking, what if they had drones back then? They probably would have just sent flamethrower drones into his property and just torched the whole thing, the houses, the people, the animals. I'm 100% with you, bro.
I think there's a lot of people that are hardcore tired of it.
Yeah.
And that's the writing that's on the wall that people, I think, are afraid to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't have a drone that can drop a hand grenade or a mortar, your damn gun ain't going to matter if anything kicks off.
That's right.
That's the conversation we got to be having.
Kaecey, to you. Should firearms ever be taken without a criminal conviction?
Never. And I even question criminal conviction because I question a lot of laws that we have today. Look at J6ers. They tried to prosecute many of them with federal crimes to take away their rights to carry firearms and the right to vote in a lot of states. I question a lot of things that you are taking, that the government will impose or charge you with to take away your right as a citizen in the United States. There are times that you may have it taken away short term and that you can give it back after your time is served, but majority of the time, you should be able to keep your rights. And right to bear arms is one of them. And you should never have your firearms taken away from you, especially by the government.
I agree. All right, Maj, to you. Categories firearm registration. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but does firearm registration improve public safety?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am a fan of government knowing nothing about you and you knowing everything about government. If that was the standard, then we wouldn't have as many parasitic politicians all across the country. No, it just doesn't. It's almost, and I know the questions are, there's people watching that may be somewhere in the middle and they've been told that these things do help, but they don't help. They don't help at all. And a registry, man, again, everybody, I really like to read. That's one of my favorite things to do. And when you read history, I got a book over there. Actually, it was my book for last month. This one here, Gun Control in the Third Reich by Stephen P. Holbrook. Stephen P. Holbrook's a really, really good Second Amendment writer. And that book talks about how the Weimar Republic, before they came into power before the Nazis in Germany. And the left and the right of the Weimar Republic, left, right, politically, were advocating for more and more gun restrictions and gun bans and all of those different things. And then as soon as Hitler and Goebbels and them got in there, they was like, we confiscating them from both sides. Don't nobody get guns, and almost to the point where, like, even if they were like, you got to go turn your guns in. And if a law enforcement officer saw you with a firearm, literally walking to the point, if they saw you with the firearm, they could shoot you in the street. This is not me making this up. This is in the book. And so gun confiscation comes after gun registry. To Eric's point, that's if you get to confiscation, because the murder may happen in between. You got a gun, we kill you. We got a drone, you don't, we kill you. And this is where the conversation around hearts and minds got to get ramped up. The American people need to understand that if you live in America and you're an American sovereign being, your lineage, your heritage is rebellion. You just need to genuinely accept that. We just celebrated the 4th of July a few weeks ago. That was rebellion. That was open rebellion and saying pretty much like F the government. And so registration leads to confiscation if you are that lucky. It may lead to a murder first. And so, no, No, we're not registering nothing. 3D printers exist. Polymer firearms exist. Kits exist. Whichever way you want to do it. But registration, man, nah. I don't want to register the things that I own with somebody else. It's just not my twist.
I agree. You need to start a book club, Maj.
I do.
You
So
do?
wait,
You do?
so here's the funny thing.
All right.
That Solutionary 99-day thing, we do have a book for every single month. So mine's for June was Gun Control in the Third Reich. The month before it was Principles by Ray Dalio. So we do, anybody that's interested, man, it's a 99-day intensive. It's me working with you directly. We get on a call. We come up with what your goals are. We make you smarter, stronger, and a better shooter. Yes, you're going to have to drive practice. A lot of people don't drive practice. And I'm like, what imaginary world are you in where you think you're going to get better at shooting if you don't shoot or at least drive practice? And so we do have our book list for the whole 2026. We do have that. But anybody that's interested, join the Solutionary 9.
Nice. Hit me up when it's a comic book of the month club. I'm not a great reader, as you could tell by me reading the comments on this show. All right, Eric, to you. Is firearm registration primarily a tool for future enforcement?
Oh, come on. That's not a question, guys. Come on. Of course, registration is a tool that they're going to use in their bag of tricks to come after you in some way. I mean, ultimately, registration is essentially a list of who owns guns, right? If one gun is registered, well, then they can assume, doesn't matter if you have 100 or if you have one, well, they have you on a registry. If even one gun is registered. And, there's been a lot of talk going around, and I guess this is actually a good place to mention this, and sort of a preface to this question, essentially, is that, recently they scaled back on the tax stamp requirement for suppressors and things like that, right? All these NFA items, they're saying, well, no more $200 tax stamp. You simply must just register them now. And you notice they didn't do away with the registration. Right. And there's been a lot of talk within the Second Amendment organizations. I know GOA and Second Amendment Foundation, NRA. I mean, all your big box, your main players in the gun rights organizations, groups, and everything, have been fighting to push the ATF to do completely away with the registration clause of the NFA, and honestly, to even declaw the NFA completely, if not completely abolish it, under the Bruin Standard. The Bruin Standard does set forth some pretty distinctive legalish speak, if you will, in that, well, a law must follow the text and traditions and established law that was in place in 1791. It must follow the historical context of the Second Amendment as it pertains to 1791 and on. And I mean, in the 1791, we were, shooting horse thieves, right, and killing highwaymen out on the trails. Like, it was still a pretty rough place in 1791. And you would think, okay, well, if there was some restriction on, let's say, what type of gun that somebody should own, wouldn't it be codified when you originally, adopted the Second Amendment? So things like NFA have some very tricky legal water to stand on, I believe, to exist in the future. I think that the standpoint, or the energy has never been better to challenge the NFA in court. And the Supreme Court has shown, definitely some willingness to look at gun cases, as we've seen. And they're about to, go over this AR-15 one, which I think is very important, to determine if the AR-15 is protected under the Second Amendment, specifically as a gun design, which I think is kind of strange that they would only look at that one particular gun design, which seems to be such a lightning rod for people to look at. But registration is absolutely a preface to confiscation and to increase law enforcement effort. And I think that people have an absolute right to privacy. And I don't think that the government should have a damn idea of what anybody owns. It's none of their business to know what guns a person owns. The only time that it's the government's business to know what gun a person has is if they've committed a crime or tried to hurt somebody and they've shot that some bitch dead on the middle of the street and he's got a gun on him. All right, well, then, yeah, whatever at that point. But you've already committed the crime. Murder's already illegal. right? Like there doesn't gun laws or restrictions on guns are a really strange foreign concept to me because murder is already illegal. You know what I mean? So we don't need gun laws to further codify anything beyond, all right, murder's already illegal no matter what tool you use, a bomb, a knife, gravity, push someone off there's a million and one ways to kill somebody. Why do guns get treated specifically in that kind of strange way? They get singled out in that way. And I think that when you have registration, you do open up the doors for law enforcement to poke their nose in your freaking under your roof and have a look at your life. And I think that's something we should never encourage. I mean, again, we look at these flock cameras and stuff. There's people going around chopping down plot cameras. And look, that's not just a left wing or right wing or center, whatever it is. There's a lot of people in a lot of different political persuasions that agree with cutting down plot cameras. All right. And I think that it's never been a more universally accepted hatred of something. I mean, you want to talk about something that brings people together. Well, talk about flock cameras, buddy. And people have a universal hatred of them sons of bitches. And all that is an extension of that police state. It's an extension of, it's registering you as a person in a way. It's registering you as an entity that can be followed around and snooped upon. Now you combine that with a firearms registration. Oh, now you've really got something going because now the flock cameras can just nose around and know exactly where you are at all times and report all that information to law enforcement. They have a database and they have all the tools they need to screw with you. And I don't think that's something we should ever support. Hell no.
I agree. Hey, but Eric, you got to work with me. I always say Eric, I always say you got to work with me because my questions aren't stupid. It's the government that's stupid. They only give me so much to work with. I didn't create firearm registration. This is what I have to work with, man.
I got you.
All right. We can't even hear you anyways, Kaecey, so I don't know what you were
It's
saying.
very Orwellian, no matter how you look at it. This whole thing is Kafkaesque.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly. All right, Kaecey, to you. Should the government maintain a database of lawful gun owners?
Never. The government shouldn't maintain a database of anything with United States citizens at all. That includes voters. Save America Act is going to do that. That also counts for gun owners. That counts for gun registry, counts for gun purchases. I see you, Terry. But the government should never count any or keep track of any database of United States citizens ever. It is our right to do as we want in this country. The government needs to stay the fuck out.
I agree. All right, enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. The chat is fire. Let's see what's going on. 100 Damage just wanted to say hi, bro, from Bronner. Oh, yeah. Oh, Dee's here, by the way. If you need a VA, she's excellent. Check her out. Follow her on X. And I will be on the Sharper Way podcast on Thursday, July 23rd, to talk to Larry about how to get more people excited about liberty. You can't all start a game show. That was my idea, but there's other ways to get excited about liberty. So I will be talking to my buddy Larry Sharp about that. Oh, yeah. Donate to Dexter's legal fund. That's givesendgo.com/detailer_2A_legal. He needs the dough. Donate there. 200 Damage allowed should not be in our vocabulary. 100 Damage, he's prettier than Larry and is far more buff. Oh, I mean, Larry's not going to like that one at all. Ooh. 200 Damage for allowed. 200 Damage, free men don't ask permission. Points Damage, I carry wherever I want to protect myself. I am free. Points Damage just because. Welcome, Andrea. 28 to Eric. We all hate normies. Texas Heat's here. What's up? 100 Damage, carry every day and everywhere. 200 to KC for being in last. $1.58 to Kaecey for being on X live 3 days in a row. He'll be off till February. 100 to Eric. Criminals don't obey gun laws. 100 to Kaecey. The answer is always going to be no when it comes to should the government. 200 to Kaecey for Acorn Cop. 200 Damage for based Rorschach reference. I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me. One of the best movie scenes ever. 200 to anyone who abolishes the federal government. I feel like that's outside the capabilities of the game show. 100 Damage. I'm going to get busy. 200 Damage. like, you're trying to make me imitate Maj 2 comments in a row. I'm a Swiss cheese you. I am from the south side of Chicago, Maj, so I have some skills.
You got the references.
Yeah. Jake from Tough Love Records is here. Follow them. Just shared. Amity says 200 homage, moral obligations to defend life. Amen. Jacob says 100 homage, expanding self-defense rights through measures such as constitutional carry and stand your ground laws has shown associations with lower rates of violent crime. 127 Eric for they can effing try. 100 to Eric for being the coolest Quaid brother.
Everybody says I look like Randy Quaid.
200 to Eric, they can effing try. I have to give 100 to Kaecey just for working so hard to make things happen for the show. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. 100 to Kaecey for my rights should never be taken away. Another 100 to Kaecey for following us back since basically day one on here. Definitely follow Tough Love. 100 to Maj for the book reference. 100 to Maj for doing Larry impersonation. I'm not making this up. Okay, at least 200 to each, but Maj is killing it, so an extra 100 to him. 200 to Maj, registration is a prequel to confiscation. 100 to Eric, registry is just a way to know where to confiscate. 100 to Kaecey, cosmetic firearm features should not serve as the determining factor for what law-abiding Americans can own. I refuse to go to legal marijuana depots because F your registry. 100 to Eric, love that. 100 to Eric, damn straight, I have a right to privacy. 200 for the first person to say F flock.
Fuck flock.
F-flock.
There, I'll take it.
200 to Kaecey if you get Emily to say hi to me on camera.
She's not in here.
167 to Eric, get the flock out of here. 200 to Kaecey for no registries. 100 to Kaecey, they should never have a database on us. We need better databases for them. I love that. 100 to Kaecey for F that. And 100 to Kaecey, the government should have no databases, period.
I think Maj cleaned house here, y'all. I think Maj has got her ass on the sling.
Maj, 6204. Eric, you're still right
Not
there.
bad much.
61.
Oh, damn.
18. And Kaecey in third. And all right. So let's do one more. Let's go faster. Let's try to see what we can get through here.
Okay.
All right. Maj, to you. Oh, this is sponsored by Xano. Appreciate them sponsoring the show. Check out their privacy coins. That's the way of the future. If you want, we were talking about databases and staying out of databases. Privacy coins are the way to go. Maj, the category is financial freedom and gun rights. Should Americans be free to purchase firearms with cryptocurrency?
Yes, and you can, especially in states like Florida, where private sales are a thing. Just get a Moon wallet, MUUN, and just do the deal. That's it. Don't look to the government to allow you. Get Bitcoin. Put money, cash, or fiat currency. Put it on a green dot card or one of those cards that you can just reload cash on. Use that. Go to a Bitcoin ATM machine. Buy it. Put it on your wallet. Put it on Moon and do your transactions peer-to-peer. You can and you should do it that way. Again, especially in states that have private sales. That's what I'm private sale shorty. Like that will be an amazing thing for everybody to do. You have to create parallel economies. If they playing the games over here, cool. We're gonna do our deals over here. And whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's whatever your coin of choice, whatever type of Bitcoin. Obviously, some people may not want to give up their Bitcoin because they may be holding a bit. But yeah, you can and you should, especially in states that have private sales. That's my opinion.
Dude, you're speaking my language. Parallel economies. I love it. All right. Eric, to you. Is debanking becoming a political weapon?
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on that subject. Hell yes, it is. Now, you guys might remember, I'm sure, well, that's what this question comes from, is like when Bank of America and some of the other banks, they strongly started pushing back against, gun operations that were banking with them and reporting them to the government and just doing all sorts of random things, making it more difficult for them, not wanting to process payments, not wanting to offer them insurance. I mean, all sorts of reasons that, banks have not wanted to do business, with either the firearms industry or even just FFLs, or in some cases, even gun owners. Like there's been stories where banks will see charges from a gun-related website or something, and then want to question you or whatever. And I don't think that's an environment that is very good at all for people to have to deal with when it comes to, their privacy, and there are a lot of things that are being weaponized against people on a regular basis. I mean, banking system, that's almost too simplistic, right? I mean, our entire legal system, as it pertains to you and I, the normies, whatever, regular people within society, our entire political system, our entire court system, our entire legal system is purposely gamed against us, to work against us. And unless you're in the connected circles of people, they get away with all the crimes they want to commit. I mean, I can't think of the more ultimate abuse of power than, the system being weaponized. I mean, look at Dexter Taylor. I mean, that's a perfect example of how our system is so weaponized against average people on a daily basis. I mean, the banking system, yeah, there are ways that you can bank at private institutions. You can, use decentralized currency. You can use cryptocurrencies. You can deal in cash. There are a lot of ways that you can sort of escape the matrix. But, even beyond that, let's say you do everything you're supposed to do, like Dexter Taylor thought he was doing. Dexter Taylor thought he was just obeying the law, being a law-abiding citizen, doing whatever he wanted to do within his rights, which, of course, what he was doing was within his rights to do. But then what happened? The system comes peeking their ugly little fucking nose under their under his roof and get involved in everything they're doing, and then weaponize the very legal system that's supposed to protect him and should protect him because what he's doing is within his rights, and they weaponize that very system against him. So, to simplify the question, the banking system is absolutely used as a political tool to weaponize, against people, but so is our entire political apparatus. And until we fix that, the very function of government not functioning in the way that it's supposed to, and our legal system not functioning in the way it's supposed to. And we have a lot of crony judges that are involved in a lot of cronyism. And there's a lot of underhanded things that go on in our society and within the halls of our government. And until we fix that problem, I think the banking is the least of our worries. Honestly.
I agree.
And they're printing us completely out of existence. They're printing money like it's just monopoly money and diluting your currency daily. It doesn't matter what amount of money you make. They're just going to print it into oblivion. That's way worse than anything they could do policy-wise, is the things that you don't see. When Congress just prints billions of dollars and gives it away to everybody, what does it matter what the bank's policies are when, you don't need a bank to ruin your life. You just need Congress and a pen.
Yeah. And I think they got Dexter through financial records too. So that was a good point there. And there's his Give, Send, Go right there. So yeah, great points. All right, Kaecey, to you, could a CBDC be used to restrict lawful firearm purchases?
Yeah, and to expand on that a little bit of what Eric was talking about is they categorize. So it started, I'm going to back up a little bit. It started with Canada. Canada, they started debanking because they were revolting against COVID and the vaccines and all the lockdowns, all of that stuff. And then it started migrating into the United States. What did we do in the United States with the financial system? We decided we're going to categorize your purchases to help you with your spending on your bank account. So now all of a sudden, every merchant that sells merchandise has a certain code. And now your banks are going to be able to categorize your bank statements at convenience of you, but also going to be able to tell you tell the government and other entities what purchases you are making. When people are not talking about these things, they are not highlighting the real problems in the financial situation that when you are buying guns. CBDC is the next level of that. You will not be able to buy things that the government doesn't want you to buy if CBDC passes. So I encourage everybody to stick with cash, crypto, Zano, or start bartering in other ways to be able to acquire firearms, ammo, and brass.
I agree. All right. Maj, back to you. And where did it go here? All right. This category is brought to you by Zoom Beyond Shrooms. Check out zoomtrip.com, xumtrip.com. Maj, the category is the drug war and violence. Has the drug war caused more gun violence than it's prevented?
Yes, government, by definition, has murdered more humans than any other agency or entity in world history. And that's not just the United States government. So when you're talking about the war on drugs and government involving in the free market enterprise of what adults choose to do and put in their body and ingest, it has increased the violence level. Because if you got a small part of territory and you got to hold on to it, somebody else might try to come and you got to defend it by force. Then the government, when they see you getting some money for a while, they might just pop in and kidnap your president or something like that. And so, no, 1,000% it increases violence. You have countries, and I'm always slow to say things like this because I don't necessarily use other countries to justify what America should do. We have our own unique situation. However, when you look at certain things that fit, like what Portugal did with their so-called drugs, they decriminalized and or legalized all of their so-called hard drugs. And within 2 years, the violent crime rate dropped like 70%. So government involvement is actually, yet again, increasing the problem as it relates to violence. So no, the war on drugs, Americans are adults. A lot of the founders experimented with different types of drugs. Benjamin Franklin was a wild boy. And so they understood these freedoms and the responsibilities that came along with those freedoms. And Benjamin Franklin wasn't hurting for no brain cells. He was a multi-level genius. And so saying this all to say, this is not freedom. And this is not me advocating for people to be unhealthy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what you choose to do, you should be informed and educated about it and get knowledge on it. And if you choose to do it as an adult, you do it in a responsible manner. And when government says you can't have that, that's when I start to tap out. And it starts to look like I'm advocating for heroin usage. And I'm not saying that, but I am saying that government's involvement never makes it better. Government should have nothing to do with anything that you voluntarily choose to participate in that does not violate somebody else's body or their property. And it's that simple.
I agree. All right, last two questions of the night. Next one's to you, Eric. Does drug prohibition create more violent black markets?
Oh my gosh, yes. And the people that are the owners and perpetuators of those black markets are the government. They're the people that have the biggest stake in it. I mean, how do you think that there's stuff coming in this country them sons of bitches don't know about? I mean, they're paying. I guarantee you. Look, I hate to put my tinfoil hat on, but damn it, I'm gonna. And I swear, like, I think it's a giant racket. I think the prohibition is to completely remove the competition so that they can game the system for themselves. I think the biggest drug and human trafficker and weapons traffickers on the entire world is our own government. I mean, you want to really call it for what it is. I mean, you don't look at the man on the street slinging some weed on the street corner. It ain't him. It's a far bigger megalodon of an issue than could ever be. It's anti-competition is what these laws really are. I mean, when you look at a lot of laws that our government puts into effect, a lot of times it's just anti-competition. The drug war is, I hate to put my tinfoil hat on yet again, but it's like there's a saying on the border, okay? You can take 30 pieces of silver or you can take 30 pieces of lead. Your choice, right? What do you think they mean by that? It means that any motherfucker can be bought off.
Right.
And there's a lot of coins changing a lot of damn hands. And there's a lot of things that these sons of bitches are looking the other way on. So to say that the drug prohibitions create a black market, I think that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. It is the market. Drug prohibitions are the scapegoat. They are the anti-competition. They are the reason that it exists. It's because of those prohibitions. It's completely, the system is operating exactly in the way it's intended to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Ron Paul, don't steal, the government hates competition. Right?
Yeah. They're a bunch of crooks.
Yeah. All right,
They're
Kaecey,
crooks.
to you, last question of the night. Would eliminating victimless crimes allow police to focus on violent criminals?
Yes, because right now our complete judicial system is focused on nonviolent, victimless crimes. That is what we are doing. We are locking up people because they have weed in their pocket, less than an ounce. They have a ridiculous amount of things that they're being charged for, like speeding or excessive speeding, and there is no victim. They constantly bring up things that there is no victim or there is no violence, and they want to charge you for it. They want to take away things. Look at Reckless Ben. Look at what he was doing in exposing a bad business trying to take away someone's very valuable Legos, and they keep harassing him here in the state of Utah, American Fork Police Department, and they held him in jail, and they took away things without saying that he is actually being arrested or what he is being charged for, without also reading his Miranda rights. The entire situation is the government and trying to impose its will on the citizens and say, you will obey me. No, Americans need to stand up and need to stick to their rights and fight for them. And everybody needs to stand next and with them so we can show them who they need to be working for.
Totally agree. All right, enter your scores in the chat one last time. Tell us who you thought won. Tell us what you thought of the show. Let's jump into the chat here. Points to Maj. Competing currencies, Jack, or you ain't black. Joe Biden, maybe. Points to Maj for parallel systems. Points to Eric. My banking should be private and they shouldn't be snooping in our transactions. Points to Eric. Our gun-free zones protecting people are criminals. Points to Eric for talking about cronyism. Points to any shout out to Randy Weaver, 100%. Points to Kaecey, blame Canada. Another 50 points to Eric for bringing up Dex, free Dexter Taylor. Points to Kaecey for Zano. Oh, there's Emily, who traveled the world with us this year. Thank you, Emily. She's so lovely. Follow her, Mrs. American versus Gov. Points to Maj, government is the murderer. Points to Kaecey, CBDCs are the cornerstone of the beast. Points to Maj, drug laws cause more violence. Points to Maj, Benjamin Franklin would have loved tonight's shroom sponsor. Points to Maj for pivoting and schools on democide. Government is the largest killer. Points to Maj. Points to Eric. The government has their hand in that cookie jar. Points to Eric. CIA and DA have left the chat. Tony Durazio's here. What's up, buddy? Points to Maj because of Pennsylvania. Points to Eric. The government doesn't like drugs because they don't like the competition. Points to Eric for figuring out it's just the cartel versus cartel above the government and intelligence agencies. Points to Kaecey because Ryan Woodcraft's a psychopath. Points to Kaecey, nonviolent crimes is just a revenue source for the government. Points to Kaecey, no victim, no crime. Points to Kaecey, same. Points to Kaecey for reckless Ben. Points to Kaecey, our jails are full with victimless criminals. Points to Kaecey that Lego stuff is bonkers. Yeah. And they were all great. 100 for everybody. Great way to end the night in the chat. Let's check it out one last
Kaecey
time.
might have took us there, man.
I think so.
I think he got us, man.
Yeah, let's see. Now, Maj went end to end. 7104. Less than 100 points ahead of Eric. And Kaecey snuck up at the end there. Almost 7,000 points. Kaecey, you came in third. What'd you think, man?
Just at home, guys. I'm just at home. I always end up here, but that's okay. And when it comes to it, I'm up against two good guys. They know their shit. They know what they're talking about. They support our Second Amendment. These are great men that want everybody to live freely in this country. So I'm just proud to be here.
Awesome. And I slag on Kaecey's show, but it's actually awesome. Check out They Both Suck podcast. It's most Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern at American versus Gov. And check out the Awake Not Woke store. And, dude, I couldn't appreciate you more. All the work you put into this, all the travel. Love you and Emily so much. So thank you so much for everything. Eric, you came up a little short. What did you think, man?
Well, second is first in line, I guess, right? All right, yeah. Look, I want everybody to just keep a little question in the back of the head before we leave tonight. If you can break the law and pay a fee to not suffer any consequences, what's the point of that law? You know, Kaecey, when he was talking about how the police just want to find these victimless crimes and charge money for it. I mean, if you could just pay a fee is it really illegal?
Right.
That's
I don't think so.
Facts.
I mean, well, if that's the case, then why can't everything that you break the law be handled in that way? I mean, murder a person, what does that cost? I mean, can you just pay a fee to murder somebody? I mean, not to suggest that's an okay thing, but it's almost as dumb. I mean, if you really think about it, like the idea of speeding tickets, that's such a bogus thing to me. They're literally road pirates. Those people, man. They're road pirates. That's what it is. Anyway.
Plug your stuff.
Good night, everybody. All right.
Plug what you're up to.
Huh?
Plug your stuff.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on youtube.com/Iraq veteran 8888. I'm always producing. I've been on there for almost 18 years, producing lots of gun content. And follow me on X, Iraq veteran 8888, for some spicy takes, maybe some vastly unpopular takes, but I'll be here all night.
Yeah, and there's all of his details. The website's IraqVeteran8888.com, and you can see the handles are all the same. So find him on YouTube and X. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, man.
Maj, first place, man. What'd you think?
I think it was great. It's always a good time. I love, bigger than anything, regardless of first, second, third, doesn't matter. The fact that so many people from tonight's show that are maybe middle of the road, that are like, hey, I'm not sure about the gun thing, but are open to hearing. I think, everybody gave so much information for those folks to kind of like have a better assessment. We're dealing with something that it has to be in the heart and the mind of the person. For a person to understand why certain legislation is wrong, we got to give them a better bevy of information to give them a stronger moral center. And that moral center, I don't mean their their faith or their value system. I mean in the sense of whatever their faith is, how does your God view this? Or is God your God, or is government your God? And so I think all of the conversation tonight really, really makes people that maybe not be super pro-gun right now, but also don't want to be victimized and they just want a balanced and nuanced take. I think that, the guys really, really gave them a lot of information in that regard. So I'm always, excited about that, because more and more people get steamed. We get more and more Americans crossing the political aisle, cutting down flat cameras, being more free individuals. And that's always an awesome thing.
That's awesome. Plug what you're up to.
Everybody, please, guys. So it's two things. One, for those of you that are not aware, we have fundraised for people to get classes for free, basic firearms classes, whether that's in person or our, online curriculum. If you are a person that got some value from the show and you want a free class, just shoot me a DM on X or something like that. People, for those of you that are not aware, for the last 10 years, all of our classes in person have been free to all because of voluntary donations. And as I'm building something new, now we just switched it to we can still reach people. If you need a free class, just shoot me a DM or shoot me an email. Maj Toure at solutionaryuniversity.org. So that's, or just DM me, whatever. If you want to support those efforts, we are like $7,000 away from our overall goal. And I want everybody to know that in the last few years, we've raised and given away $500,000 to do this work. This has happened because of donations. And literally, matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up right now. Our Gibson Go page, I think we may be, a little under $7,000 left. If you go to gibsongo.com/solutionary, you'll see it there, right? You'll see how much we raised when we started and how much we have to go. It would be awesome this weekend if we could give away all of that remaining $6,000 and some odd dollars. If we can raise and give all of that away for everybody to, it's Give, Send, Go. Terry, switch it. Give, Send, Go.
I got it. Okay. I got it.
If everybody could just go pitch in, man, that would be great. And now I'm saying that because all of those classes are free, right? So if you need a class,
we got it right here. Okay,
perfect. If you need a class, if y'all can see in the top right corner, there's the $500,000, and that's how much we've raised and given away. This has been completely funded by regular everyday Americans. And we're this close. And I don't promote it as much because I'm really, really trying to make sure that the site is awesome and we're getting more, courses and stuff like that. So 2 things. Anybody that wants to support our work for the free classes, that's where you can go to do that. Anybody that wants a free class, that's like, yo, Maj, I need to take a firearms basics course. We have it for you. Just shoot me a DM. People have already paid it forward for you. Just shoot me a DM or an email, right? But the biggest thing that I would love to do this weekend, it's like 60. I'm horrible at that math off the top of my head. So let's say it's like $6,400. If we could get 64 people to donate $100, I'm going to make sure that we are finding all of those people to try to be like, hey, we got a donation. You guys can get a class. You guys can get a class. That will be awesome for the weekend's goal. And so those are the 2 areas that you can help. Now, if you're somebody that's like, Maj, I don't donate, and Maj, I don't need a firearms class. If that's your argument, right? And you're like, how else can I support? Just go to solutionaryuniversity.org and just get a class. We have a system, a preparedness system that has Stop the Bleed, civics, firearms basics, know your rights, understanding imminent threat, all of these in one routine. That's like our mid-ticket item. And these are videos that you have forever. It's a one-time price for all of those things. Usually Stop the Bleed classes are like $80 to $100, but for all 5 or 6 of these courses in this system, it's $150. And you have them forever. It's not a subscription service. So if you want to get that information, if you want to kind of like pay it forward, you can do it that way. If you want to pay it forward for others, you can go to givesendgo.com/solutionary. But more so than anything, guys, whichever way you decide to support, please know that we 1,000% totally can appreciate every single penny. And for 10 years, we have been doing this work all completely based on you guys, and it's been free to all. We know that the economy's tight. We know that the government is massively printing up money and stealing your labor. That's what's happening. To Eric's point earlier, they are stealing your savings. The inflation goes up, your money has less spending power. My point in saying that is if everybody pitches in a little bit, and then we feed other people different perspective with the civics, with this, with that, then we can kind of like course correct it different a little bit. And so that's kind of why, we started with the Second Amendment and the basics and then started expanding into other things, because we have to make sure that the American public has an understanding of why inflation is bad, why government is supposed to be limited, how we resolve conflicts before it gets to a gun. If it's a bad guy, how we defend life with a firearm, how we, stop a bleed. These are a holistic, list of things. And so I'm just genuinely hoping that if we can get 64 people to do $100 this weekend, we can get several things done. 1, I can stop fundraising. That part is the most difficult part. And 2, I would love to teach 1,000 people or get classes to 1,000 people this weekend. And so that would help in that regard. So saying that to say, huge shouts to everybody that has been supporting, that has bought some merch, that has bought a class, that has donated. But if you haven't before, this weekend will be 1,000% the most perfect time for you guys to do it. And we could, and then, oh my God, for anybody that's ever fundraised or did any type of like nonprofit type of like fundraising, it's very, very difficult. So if anybody if somebody's rich that's seeing this and they like, yo, I just want to donate and get it all out the way to 6,300, that will be awesome too. I'll have your email and I'm definitely going to contact you and figure out how we can do that or what we can do for that. But just be kind to each other this weekend, y'all. Just be supportive to each other. There's a massive propaganda campaign to make sure that the American people are divided. These are still American people. These are still humans. These are still people. If another country attacked us, you would be fighting, right shoulder to shoulder with those folks. Don't let the propaganda divide you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and we would appreciate everybody's support, and I'll land there.
Yeah, here's his details here. The GiveSend goes up there, givesendgo/solutionary, solutionaryuniversity.org, and he's Maj Toure on social. And I know everybody's got to go, but I want to say one thing. you guys have all dropped so much knowledge on me over the years. But Maj, I want to tell you one thing, brother. So you were talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's on the public chain, man. You don't want stuff on the public chain. Think Xano, think Freedom Dollar. Privacy coins are the way to do the parallel economy stuff. So, and Kaecey pointed out too. But yeah, so if you get a Xano wallet, I'll hit you up with a little more cash, man. So
I've been using Moon for the longest, but I'll download that one now. How do you spell it?
Xano, Zano.
Okay.
And it's a good time to point out that they're our sponsor. Your privacy matters. Choose Xano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. And if you're new to the space, check out intro.xano.org. So Maj, if you go to intro.xano.org, you can find it there. And then just DM me and I'll send you some more privacy coin. And so that's a good way to go. And let me add Terry real quick here. Terry, what'd you think?
I feel so flipping empowered. I'm ready to go out and get an AR or whatever they're called and learn how to do this. You guys are just so great. I know people learned a lot tonight, and I always learn with you guys. You do a great job, and I appreciate all of you. Thanks, chat. You guys were awesome.
I noticed, Maj, you got $100 since we brought up the good Give, Send, Go again. So you're down to you need 61.55 by my math. So so I just want to say again, thank you to Zoom as well. Check out xumtrip.com. Thanks to all the subscribers. You can subscribe to us on X. And if you want to sponsor us, email studio@freedomuncut.com. And we will be at Midwest Peace and Liberty Festival, August 6th through 9th, Lake Satoshi, Michigan, mplfest.org. And again, free Dexter Taylor. That's another Give, Send, Go /D Taylor_2A_legal. So thank you so much to you guys. You guys drop so much knowledge. You have such a wide range of information on this topic. It's not just like shall not be infringed. It's like a lot of depth and a lot of strategy. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to the chat. You guys made this so much fun. We'll be back next Friday again. We have the LNC on, Evan McMahon, Amanda Griffiths, and Keith Thompson. So that'll be a lot of fun. See y'all then, 8 p.m. Friday.